My name is Neal Strauss. I am the Upwork Ambassador in the great city of Philadelphia. I've been an ambassador for almost 4 years now. It'll be 4 years in July. And I'm also a top-rated social media strategist who's been freelancing for about 6 years. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jacob. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm a trained software engineer, but now I work full-time on my own startup, and I've worked at studios before. Generally, I hire software engineers, and I work with some content marketers. I'm building a mobile app now. It's just what's the best way you can optimize your free time. Whenever you have to decide what movies to watch, what books to read, how can you remember that? How can you tap into your network? If you want to check it out, it's butlersupport.com.
And Jacob, where are you based out of?
Oh, I'm in Los Angeles right now.
Very cool. And Douglas, would you like to take a turn at introducing yourself?
Yeah, but I do want to download that app. It sounds very, I think I need it. My name is Douglas Spencer. I'm a messaging and branding consultant. I help mission-driven organizations, nonprofits, social enterprises, help them really step back and focus and figure out what the best messages are that are going to get people on their side, get people working and enthusiastic about the work they do. I'm a solopreneur, but I use teams of virtual talent such as art directors, graphic designers, social media folks, web developers, copywriters, market research folks, and that's how we service our clients in a virtual capacity. So very excited to be here and love having the opportunity to talk about this.
Cool. Well, thank you both, Jacob and Douglas, for joining us today. So for everyone else who's joining us, I've put together a couple of questions to get the Q&A started or get the conversation started that we've heard from other events and that we've also heard from some of you beforehand who submitted questions before today. And then after that, we'll jump into Q&A from you. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them into that same question and answer box that you were using beforehand. And then we'll have hopefully about half an hour or so with Jacob and Douglas to pick their brains to see how we can improve ourselves as freelancers or work better with clients. And then last but not least, I do have a survey that I'll be sharing with everyone just to get some feedback about how we're doing, how we can improve, and also what other events you're interested in seeing from us. So with that, let's jump right in. So this first question, Jacob, how about we start with you and then we'll go over to Douglas. So what does a good proposal or cover letter look like to you?
It's interesting because I don't think it's just a blanket statement, because it's not like one box kind of fits all. Sometimes I'll post a job and I'll get 50 responses and I got to kind of comb through all of them. A good one talks about a little bit about the posting. It has like the experience that they need to have. It makes them seem interesting, that they know what they're talking about. Enthusiastic is always good. Generally, I mean, if I need something, it's more niche and they need to show that they understand the topic well, but it could be so many different things.
Okay. And what about you, Douglas?
Well, the first thing I'd say to that is less is more. I've received proposals where it's easily a copy and paste job, or it is a list of all of the different assets that the talent has and just listing them all, hoping that one of them will stick. What really catches my eye is someone who has read the description, knows what it's all about, or asks relevant questions about the project so that they can demonstrate that they're interested in the project and not just as working with me as a transaction. I think that to me, that's when I was preparing for this or thinking about this webinar, I think the difference between Upwork talent that I work with well and those that don't work out are the ones that are interested in the project, are interested in the work, Whereas some other folks are just focused on the revenue, focused on the ratings, focused on just the actual transaction. And so that's the difference to me between a talent that's going to be successful and talent that's not. And so I would encourage people in their cover letters and proposals to really try to bring that to life.
You mentioned it briefly, but saying like relevant questions is, I think, really huge. As soon as you can get us to like start engaging in a conversation, you're better off than most others.
Amen. Yep.
Well, actually, with that also brought up, so when you do post a job and you get a lot of proposals in, how do you pick which ones to start looking at? Or, do you go through every single proposal you get?
It's stressful. I always want to go through every single one. But if I get really drawn towards one application, I'll just kind of like stick with that. And I'll feel bad about not getting to the rest, but I want to get to all of them.
Right. Okay.
Well, I have started using the feature of creating the posting and then inviting people to apply for it. Just because otherwise there is a massive onslaught of people who apply for it and apply for it. And a lot of the people that apply for anything that's remotely near their talent, their skill set. And I understand that. But so with that said, I think it's important for talent to be able to create profiles that will catch my interest as I start to go out and look for people to apply for my applications. And what that involves is really just trying to talk about something about you, your style, what you do, how you do it in a way that's different than everybody else. And so, but answering your original question, which I probably should have done to begin with, when I do post something and have people come, I usually can't look at all of them, and I do feel bad about that. But and it depends on what kind of job it is that I actually look at and how I decide which to look at, which I don't.
Yeah, and then for me, because I'm hiring a lot of technical people, including any sort of like code sample, any sort of relevant project is always going to be what I want to first go through. Really making sure that you've done this before, or that you want to learn how to do it, or that you can kind of understand it is just really important.
Yeah.
I heard similar things from both of you, but for Douglas, for you, is when you look at someone's profile, that's the first thing you're really seeing if you're inviting them to the job. And so I'm going to make a leap here, but I'm an assumption, do you look at their portfolios as well when you're first doing that? Similar to what Jacob was saying, where for him, it's, he's looking at someone's portfolio for similar work or similar experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I look at the reviews, I look at the ratings, I look at their success rate. And in some situations, I look at how any testing that they've done, if they've taken any tests but that doesn't apply to everything. But yeah, I will look carefully at the profile before I invite someone. So if someone invites you to apply for a position, most likely they're interested in you. They know quite a bit about you. So it's also important, when going back to this idea of less is more, to not repeat everything. Because again, if you've been invited to apply for a job, we've probably already looked at you and have a high level understanding of what you do. So that means that when you start to engage with us, make sure it's the things that you want to highlight as that which makes you stand out.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to jump on, because I know we're getting a ton of questions in about proposals and profiles that we'll go into a little bit later. But for now, let's try to move on into the interview process. So what do each of your interview processes look like? And do you want to have an interview before you hire someone? Douglas, you want to start that off?
Yeah. Oh, yes. As everything, I used to teach a marketing class, and I would answer every question with, "It depends." And the same thing holds true here. It depends on the role. I mean, for the most of the roles for which I will hire, yes, I do want to have some sort of an interaction. And I've been working with Upwork for quite a few years, and now video is certainly makes that a whole lot easier. Before, in the very early days, there was not a lot of that. It was just like telephone calls and so. But yeah, I do want to have a conversation with somebody.
Mhm. What about you, Doug? Excuse me. What about you, Jacob?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I've worked with people even in the past year where I've never seen their face before, that we've just gone purely off of chat, and it just worked for the two of us. For whatever reason, that relationship kind of played out that way. But I like talking to people, and I like getting an understanding of kind of like where you're coming from, what your experience is like. Just the more that I know kind of like where you're coming from, I think the better and easier I'll have kind of giving you work. Yeah, I mean, it's all different. I mean, I like working with different people, and if you make it clear that it's like you're unique, this is what you want, that's kind of best. And I don't know, I mean, it's also just an opportunity to show what about the project you actually like. There's a whole lot you can do in the interview.
Right. Right.
So,
And actually, if you don't mind, Neal, I'd like to throw into that. So when you're doing an interview with somebody, when you're having an interview with somebody, if somebody is asking you to interview for a role, I think a few things are important. First of all, you've got to look professional, meaning you've got to look interested, but not desperate, obviously. I mean, I've had people with their feet up on the desk and very casual, which no. I don't need you to, I want you to show some enthusiasm. And then one of the great things about the interview process when you're doing on video is that you're able to demonstrate whatever enthusiasm you have for what you do. And that for me is really important because, any one of us can make a living any different ways, but yet we've all chosen the particular way that we are making a living. And so if in the interview process, when you're doing that, if you can somehow show the excitement for why you love doing what you do, that's going to be really powerful and really helpful.
Yeah, I think that can come across as pretty genuine.
Mm.
And that helps a lot.
So when you're writing out either your job description or as you're inviting people, as you're going through the process, do you say that you want an interview? Or because you both of you mentioned that it depends on, video call, whatever else, it depends on what you're really looking for out of the position. So do you sometimes rely on freelancers to give you that next step or to ask for that interview?
I mean, for me, I think one of the big things that I'm looking for is to just kind of learn something new. And so it's not even that I'm an expert on what I need done, because there is like a lack in skill. That's why I'm hiring for this, and kind of showing me what you're interested in. I mean, that could be someone could ask for an interview, get on camera if you want, but it's not 100% necessary all the time. Or even, I don't know, I think every position is really different. And I even work with other people. So it's like, I'm not always going to be the person that's going to go through that code sample. But if you can really demonstrate that you know what you're talking about and you can teach me something new, that would be great.
Awesome.
Jacob,
thank you.
Wait, sorry.
Go for it.
So Jacob, you mentioned something a couple questions ago that really reminded me of something that really caught my interest. And you said willing to learn. And I think that's really important too. If there's something that, I wouldn't be afraid of saying that you like this project because you want to learn about something. As long as you can demonstrate that you have the basic skill sets that are needed, if you can show some sort of enthusiasm about and want to learn something, then, most people that are hiring love to share knowledge and teach. And so I would, if you could bring that into, that could possibly be a differentiator for you. That you have the skill sets for the specific job, but at the same time, you're eager to learn about something else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge advocate for any sort of education, be it traditional or even just through this kind of framework. Every person that I've worked with has some sort of pipeline that's completely different than the next person's. They're used to this one tech stack. They're used to this one way of doing things. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I could learn a lot even from you. I mean, that's the most ideal situation.
Right. I mean, I'm hiring people that have skill sets that I don't. So for the most part, I am trusting that they know what they're doing and I will learn from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing, is just trust. It's really just making sure that it's like, okay, like, let's do it. Getting me to that point is like, you're in.
Right. And we'll come back.
Mm.
So that's you both touched on a lot of awesome points. First of all, Douglas, I apologize for interrupting you. But so the one thing I've learned of freelancing for so many years is that it's not that I need to know everything. And it's that not that my clients really need me to know everything, but it's that they need me to tell them when I don't know something. So similar to your point of, it's okay to learn something as you're doing it. One thing I've learned is saying I don't know is, three of the most powerful words that I can say to a client. But that's usually followed with, I'm not sure, or I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out, or this is what I'm going to do to try to figure it out. So I think that's still part of the process of, as you guys just touched on, of building out that trust or building trust with clients. So this way you can not only accomplish the task at hand or the project at hand that they're trying to do, but also for those further projects and building that relationship for the long term.
This is definitely not a fake it till you make it kind of platform. If you don't know how to do something, do not say you can do it and then figure it out down the road.
Oh yeah, I mean, be upfront, be honest. Because I've been in that situation before where someone knows they know how to use a certain framework or a certain architecture, and then they just clearly don't. And then we've gone weeks, if not months, and then I'm put in a really bad situation.
Mm-hmm. So with that, let's bring it out to the next step or another part of starting to work with someone, which is the budget or the pricing. So, you're creating a job post. Douglas, you said you usually like to invite people now, but even for you, Jacob, that if you're posting something to the public, so to speak, how do you determine that budget range or that price range for your projects?
I mean, it's difficult. I don't think I'm particularly good at it. It's this weird balance between aligning incentives of, do I do an hourly post or do I do like a lump sum? Because if I'm hiring for something that I don't know how to do, I don't always know the right budget to put for it. I don't know. I'm not the greatest at this. It's always different depending on the job, I guess.
Yeah, it depends. And for me, it really depends on the project, because it's usually we're doing something on behalf of a client, and so they have that project has a specific budget under which I need to find talent, and so there's really no rhyme or reason. I do like project prices typically better than hourly prices, because as I bill my clients on a project basis, it's a lot easier for me to keep on top of the costs that go into it than if it's hourly. But obviously, I know that some roles and some jobs, it's just not fair to the talent to do hourly. So I try to obviously I try to be reasonable, but for the most part, project pricing is more attractive to me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's interesting because it's like I'll hire someone. If I need something very specific done fast, I'll pay extra for that. And it's just that having that knowledge is so key. But then if I'm hiring someone to help me more build out a product and there's more, I don't know, hourly work to it, then it's a completely different something that I'm posting about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, I've used super niche other software processes and I can't get it working myself. And that's why I've gone to Upwork. And so I am looking for that expert and I'm expecting to pay extra for that. But that's not always what I'm hiring for.
So how does that come out to? So Jacob, I think you hit on this best when you said, you're not always the best at determining the price range or the budget range. So when freelancers are submitting their proposals to you or answering their invites to you, Douglas, do you want for them to explain why their price is different or why their hourly rate is different than what you suggested?
Yeah, I mean, the more that they can explain kind of like where they're coming from, what they think that the work is going to take them, the better. It just gives me a bigger picture.
Yeah, sure. I think as long as it's timed correctly, as long as it's at a natural place in the conversation. Again, it's if you start leading with that, then it gives off the vibe of it being more about a transaction, not about the work. So it has to be a natural part of the conversation.
Okay. So then last but not least, before we open it up to everyone else, how do you build those long-lasting relationships with freelancers? Douglas, you want to start this one off?
Sure. I think you do it just by, it just has to be a good dynamic. Obviously the work has to be good, but the working vibe has to be good too. You have to, and you get to know people over time. Now, if it's a one-off job that you probably don't think you'll ever have to, you'll never need again, then that's different. But certainly I look at when I bring on talent I always look at talent for those kind of roles as potentially a long-term relationship. So I treat it like that. But sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I always approach it as if it's going to be something that, I'll work with, there's someone with whom I'll work now. And then the other thing is, there's always the future. Even if the person stops being a Upworker, sorry, and goes on to something else, they might remember my business and either refer business to me, or it's just a relationship, and it's always important to have strong professional relationships.
That's what I was gonna say for a little bit. It's just that I've had one-off contracts before. It ended after however long we worked together, and then they reached out to me again in a month, 2 months, however long. And then I remembered how we did, and they were good, and all right, let's do something else. So let me find something else for them to do.
Yeah. That's a really good point, Jacob. I love the fact that we're just going back. I love bouncing off of what you say. I don't think freelancers reach out proactively nearly enough after they've already done an engagement. And I think that could be a really powerful tool for the folks watching, that if they have a good experience, checking in with the person they worked with would be really powerful. And even if it's just to say, hey, how did the work end up going? And you don't have to ask for more work, but just check in. And I think that will go a long way to developing that long-lasting relationship with freelancers.
Awesome. That was, I think, some incredible insights, both Douglas and Jacob. I really like that idea of checking in after the project's done, and after, for myself in marketing, that sounds, there are a lot of times that, I'll do something, I'll finish it, but it's not live yet. And so it's checking after the campaign has run its course, or to see how they viewed it then.
Yeah, I mean, in software engineering, in project management, you write something called a postmortem, where after the job is done, you kind of review all aspects to it. And that job might be done, but there might be something in the future. And kind of giving that time, and you'll see what new work kind of arises, I think. One of the interesting things about just the way that Upwork is that, like, by nature, it's remote. And so you have this combination of asynchronous and synchronous communications. Like, there are going to be times when you're talking back and forth, but there are going to be times where it's like, one of the things that I appreciate about all remote work is that it gives me the chance to work on something, and then before I go to sleep, hand that baton off to someone else, and then see all this progress be made when I can't make progress. And for me, that's the ideal relationship, is really just handing stuff off back and forth. And that doesn't necessarily mean like a ton of communication. Sometimes it might, but kind of just feeling good and comfortable about that.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. And thank you to everyone else for joining us as well.
If I get a quick second, I am going to plug what I'm working on one more time.
Please do.
I made a virtual media assistant. And so if you have a moment, we're on Test Flight and Android. If you go on our website, you can download it. Butler Support, ButlerSupport.com. And basically what it is, it's a way for you to recommend movies, TV shows, but also books, podcasts, video games to all your friends. It's a way to find relevant media. It's a way for you to get in contact and kind of understand what you like more. We wanted to focus a lot on decision fatigue. It's frustrating to go on different services and not find anything you want to watch.
I have to say, Jacob, I've used it over the last few weeks, especially for those who know me. I love movies and TV shows. And so I've been using it to keep track of all the new movies on my list, especially this summer, to hopefully get to see a few more. So I definitely recommend that. And
my
what about you?
background is as a film producer. I have a production company. I've made this before, and this is something that we saw that the industry wanted professionally and socially, and now we needed to open up to more people.
Nice. And for you, Douglas, what are you working on these days, or how can people find you?
Well, they can find me on my website, spencerbrenneman.com. And if they go to resources and case studies, white papers, there is a white paper there they might find interesting. It's about how to brand your consulting practice. So it's called Solo Identity. So people might find that interesting, but it's spencerbrenneman.com.
Awesome. So we have the Butler support.com and spencerbrenneman.com. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you, Douglas. Looking forward to seeing what's next for both of you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful day.
It's been great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.